Hello and welcome. Today we are diving deep into a really fascinating and maybe a little controversial topic, the hidden mechanics of influence, something often called dark psychology.
So the material we're looking at today makes this incredibly bold claim right from the start, that there are these specific techniques of influence that only 1% of people even know exist. That's a huge claim, right? It's designed to hook you right in. And that, of course, is the big question, isn't it? If these powerful tools are out there, what exactly are they? How do they work? And what makes them so darn effective? Well, that's what we're going to break down right now. Okay, first things first, let's get something straight. When we use the term dark psychology here, we are not talking about a formal clinical diagnosis. We're using the term the way our source does, basically as a label for a collection of specific techniques designed for influence and persuasion. Think of them as a set of tools. So the first group of techniques is all about building rapport. But this isn't just about being friendly. No, this is about creating a really powerful, almost subconscious connection with someone. And this whole process really unfolds in 3 key stages. First, you mirror their world to build an almost instant sense of trust. Second, you cleverly steer the conversation so they become the star. And finally, you use a unique method to just completely disarm their natural defenses. Let's break that first step down, because it's pretty clever. It actually combines 2 different tricks. First is mirroring, where you subtly copy someone's body language. Then you literally repeat some of their own words back to them. You see what this does? It creates this powerful feedback loop where the other person feels totally seen and heard, building this deep subconscious trust and making them way more agreeable to whatever you say next. Now, the next layer here is just beautifully simple. It all starts with one core idea. Get the other person to talk about their absolute favorite subject in the entire world. And you know what that is, right? It's themselves. Everyone's favorite topic is themselves. The source points out that when you guide the conversation toward them, their life, their opinions, their stories, you become linked with all the good feelings they get from talking about themselves. It's a really subtle but powerful connection. They start to like you more, but they can't quite put their finger on why.
And to really cement that connection, 2 more tactics come into play. First, using a person's name a lot. Hearing our own name literally jolts our brain to attention. It makes us feel seen. Second is the classic foot in the door technique. You ask for a tiny, easy favor first. Why? Because once they say yes to something small, it becomes psychologically way harder for them to say no to a bigger request later. You're setting up a pattern. And here's the last trick for building rapport, and honestly, it might be the most powerful one. It feels completely counterintuitive. Instead of complimenting someone on something they're obviously good at, you figure out something they might be a little insecure about, and you give them a genuine compliment on that. This kind of targeted validation can instantly just melt their defenses because it speaks directly to a deep need for approval we all have. All right, so we've moved from building that initial connection to actually controlling the conversation. This next section is all about how you can direct the flow and the power dynamic of any interaction. The absolute bedrock principle here is managing your emotions. It's simple. In any tense situation, the person who stays calm while the other person gets emotional is the one in control. Period. A calculated, calm response gives you the power to dictate where things go next. And building right on top of that is a very specific vocal trick. When things get tense, you deliberately slow down your speech. You see, our gut instinct is to talk faster when we're worked up. By doing the exact opposite, you project this aura of total control and confidence. It forces the other person to match your pace, not the other way around. Next up is using silence as a weapon. It's so simple. After someone makes their point or answers your question, just wait. Be quiet. Most people are incredibly uncomfortable with silence in a conversation, and they will rush to fill that void. And when they do, that often spill way more information than they ever meant to. That silence creates a subtle pressure that gets them talking. Okay, for our final section, we're shifting gears to perception management. These next techniques are all about creating a sense of value, making something or, someone seem much more desirable. And the core psychological driver behind all of this is one word: scarcity. We are just hardwired as human beings to want what we think we can't easily have. If you can understand that one principle, you've got the key to these next few techniques. And you can apply this directly to yourself. by giving someone limited attention or even acting just a little bit disinterested, you're sending a signal that your time and your focus are scarce, valuable resources. This can trigger the other person's fear of missing out, making them work harder to get your approval. It completely flips the dynamic.
Now, this next one is an internal technique. It's all about managing your own mindset. When you get rejected, you don't see it as your failure. No. Instead, you mentally reframe it as their loss. They are the ones who missed out on a great opportunity. What this does is it protects your own confidence and maintains that power dynamic, at least inside your own head. So, we've talked about building rapport, controlling conversations, and creating value. This brings us to the biggest question of all. What do you actually do with this knowledge? You know, the most important thing to take away from all this is that none of these techniques are magic spells. They're not mind control. They work because they tap into very predictable patterns of human psychology. At their core, they are simply tools for managing perception, both how other people see you and how you see a situation.
And that really leaves us with one last thought. Understanding these techniques means you can spot when they might be used on you, but it also means you now have the tools yourself. So the question isn't just about what other people might do, it's about you. Now that you can see the strings, are you going to pull them, or will you just be more aware of the puppets?